2025 Giro d'Italia, Stage 10, one day after the rest day, and the race is running. And you hear it now. Thunder, lightning, everything you can imagine here in Tuscany for the 26.8 kilometer time trial, starting in Lucca and ending in Pisa. Before I tell you the stage winner, before I tell you who stayed upright, who fell out there in the wet conditions, and the pink jersey wearer, let me mention this coverage is brought to you by Bicycle, the best place online to buy and sell pre-owned bikes. Got too many bikes in your shed or garage? No problem. Head on over to bicycle.com/FloBikes, list your bikes in minutes, and sell to cyclists worldwide. Also get your 30% off seller protection code. Well, I can report the Mexican 21-year-old Isaac del Toro, who took the pink jersey a couple of days ago before the rest day on the gravel stage, he's still in pink. Trying to get down Primoz Roglic, who did a great time today, but he didn't want to talk. He did crash in his training ride today on the other side. In the gravel stage, he landed on his right side. Well, today out there in training, he slid out there on his left side. So he's banged up. He balanced it out a bit, but he did a great time trial. But before we focus on the GC riders, let's first mention the rider who was just right over there in the mix zone a minute ago, who I missed to give you this live report. Well, that's Daan Hoole, the Dutchman, the tall Dutchman who usually helps Mads Pedersen in this Giro d'Italia do the lead-out train. And today, well, it was a day for him to celebrate. What a Giro d'Italia this team has had so far. I mean, we're only 10 days into the race, halfway there, but the team is on fire. Today, it's Daan Hoole's turn. This is his biggest win ever and his first at the international level. Now, you know he also won the Dutch TT Championships. You know that because he was out there riding today in the tricolore jersey, the red, white, and blue jersey. Oh, today he pulled off a big one, a big victory at the international level, topping the winner of the first of two time trials in this Giro d'Italia, Stage 2, Josh Tarling. Now, Daan Hoole went out there, set the best time checks all along, and I think he finished in 32 and a half minutes, averaging 52.8 kilometers an hour. You'll have to check the times. Again, my mind's a bit frazzled. But then we saw the time of Josh Tarling at the check, Ponte Tetto. He was up on Daan Hoole. Then the second of two checks out there in Asciano, he was down on Daan Hoole. And most importantly, at the finish line, just below the tower, and you can see it right over my shoulder here. I wanted to get outside to give you that beautiful backdrop, as I always try to do, but dang, it's too wet out there for Gregor Brown to stand in the wind and in the rain. But what's important to note is that Josh Tarling, when he came over the finish line, he was 7 seconds slower than Daan Hoole. Also, what was important to note is that rain showers were expected, and they held off for quite a long time. We saw some of the other riders come in, Eduardo Affini, some of the other top TT riders, but no one could top Daan Hoole. And then the rain started to come down. We started to see the GC riders, and it really started to come down there at the start in Lucca. And eventually the showers, as did the riders, made its way here. And they made their way here to Pisa. And unfortunately, we all got soaked, including Juan Ayuso out there racing in the white young rider's jersey, who nearly overshot one corner. You might have missed it, and I think the cameras missed it, but Egan Bernal came down. When we was with him there at the finish line, is all in Spanish, and everybody's crammed around him. He was getting a bit frustrated, but then he was chilled out, relaxed. He was scraped up on his left side, around his elbow and his hip. Hopefully he's okay. Also of note is that Jay Vine, who did a great TT ride today, had to change bikes early on, but he still pulled off a good TT ride. Now let's talk about the GC riders, because Derek G going for the GC, he did a heck of a time, moving up several spots in the GC. And if we want to talk about the big loser on the day out there in terms of GC, on the gravel stage when we were in Siena a couple days ago, and dang it, when the sun was out, we're still in Tuscany, but now the conditions have changed just 2 days later. The rest day was beautiful. I was out there in the Tuscan countryside this morning. I got in a run before the rains came. I logged it all on Strava, having a good time. 10 kilometers up and down to the hills. Okay, let's get back to the racing. Primoz Roglic, who suffered out there in the Siena gravel stage due to the crash along with Tom Pitcock, well, today he bounced back and he was the best of the GC riders. Moved up a handful of positions, I think going from 11th to 5th, and now setting 5th overall, made massive time gains. Also, Juan Ayuso did a great ride, and he was challenging. He was setting 2nd overall at the start of the day, about a minute and some behind the number 1 rider, Isaac Del Toro, his teammate. Well, he moved closer today because Isaac Del Toro didn't have such a great ride, but he was keeping it calm and cool. Smart for a 21-year-old, because the last thing you want to do is fall down out there and let it all go to waste. There'll be sunny days on the horizon, and Isaac Del Toro is showing wise in his youth. And in the interview over here with him, I gotta say, today he looked much more confident in that pink jersey despite racing out there in the rain. He wasn't phased at all. So we saw Juan Ayuso's time, and he moved closer to his own teammate. I think he's now only 25 seconds back. They embraced and they spoke at the finish, and Ayuso spoke with Del Toro, and Del Toro asked him, hey, how'd it go? You got those stitches on you? Were you able to ride okay? Everything was okay. So maybe there's no hard feelings in the team. I don't know. The team has 4 riders in the top 10, and that's amazing. And they're going to play those cards in the coming days, especially against Primoz Roglic, who moved up, against Derek G, who moved up. And we got Simon Yates up there, who did a great ride as well in the GC. And Antonio Tiberi did not do such a great ride today. And we're looking on the TT, well, congrats, Daan Hoole. You pulled it off. You held off Josh Tarling. A great ride. Ethan Hayter in 3rd place on the day. But today we're celebrating in Pisa. Behind me, the famous Leaning Tower of Pisa, and a Mexican, Isaac Del Toro, the first ever to wear the pink jersey, and today enjoying it for the first time out on the road. Everybody's celebrating this new sensation in cycling and wondering what's going to come up ahead on the roads with the drama in the 2025 Giro d'Italia.